So one more assignment that you have to do is longer dictations in the cassette program. So you have downloaded audio, unzipped it, and got little short audios for these two measure examples, written them out, and submitted them. But you'll notice above there's melodic dictation. It says 1d6, and it's got a little cassette icon there. That means a recording is available, and that's also in the recordings that you downloaded. So it'll say 01 for chapter 1, MD for melodic dictation, and then 1-2, -4, and -6, because 2, 4, and 6 are the dictations that you can do for homework with those recordings. I'm going to take you through number 2. These are longer, and the strategy has to be a little different than just hearing it and writing it down, because it tests your memory, so you have to compartmentalize. I suggest not writing it in your book, and if you don't have your book because of a delayed order, you can just copy out like I'm doing from this video here. You'll have seen all of those pictures, but this one here that we're going to do is a treble clef, it's common time signature, and the first note is a half note C, and it's 4 measures long, like that. Okay, so got my recordings right here. Let's have a listen. Okay, so I think the first thing that you want to think about is to not just dive in. You want to say, well, what's going on here? You don't need to just write it out. You don't have to miraculously have it down. Now, this is actually kind of short. It's pretty simple. So if you have a lot of background, maybe you can do that. But go through all the steps every time for these, because you're building micro skills so that when we get to more difficult ones, you can do it, right? So let's play it again. And this time, let's just limit our attention to number of notes and lengths of notes. Remember that the first note is a half note, and it was kind of long, but there are some faster ones or quicker ones, and there is a shorter one at the or longer one at the end too. So let's listen again. Okay. Let's try it one more time, and see if you can count how many notes there are. See if you can start to figure out which ones are long, which ones are short, and which ones are very long. Okay, so it goes bum, 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 bum. And let's think about what that means. So I think that the long ones are like this, bum. And then we have 2 quick ones. So I'm just going to write my rhythm in below. Bum, bum, 2 quarter notes, right? That would fill up the rest of this measure, right? Bum, another one long like that. Yun, dun, 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 dun. And I think that's probably pretty long right there. Probably just fills up the entire measure, just like that, okay? And we can listen one more time, and you can point and go along and say, yep, that makes sense. But you see how we have limited what we're listening to, and so we can get that information down. Just think of it like juggling balls. Most people can throw 1 ball up and down and catch it. Many people can throw 2 balls up and down. People that have practiced juggling can do 3. But when you start throwing a 4th and a 5th ball at people, if they try and juggle all of them and they're not capable of doing that yet, they tend to not keep juggling 2 or 3 that they could before. They tend to drop most of them and catch just something. If you try and get too much information at one time, this sort of is the same thing. We end up getting almost nothing compared to getting. So instead of getting every note here, I'm going to just go for certain notes. I have this note given to me. It's do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to play and try and figure out where are the do's. Okay, so let's try it again. There. Bum. Bum. So there's 3 do's. One is here. It returns again right there. And at the end. Getting the rhythm is really important here because it allows me to know where to place things that I hear. So I don't have to worry about, okay, I heard another do, but I don't know where it goes. So that's another good reason for getting the rhythm sketched out first. Now, the next question after that is, what are these patterns? Bum, ba, da, dum. Well, you can try and guess that skip. And a good guess would be an E because it's not too much higher. And, you know, it's part of the chord CEG, which is featured so prominently here. And that, or you could say, yada dum, yada dun, da da dun. Feels like mi re do, right? So you could go backwards from there. Bum, 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 bum. It's similar, but it's higher. So did we skip up to F or do we skip up to G? And the answer has to be G. And partly because I can hear it, and you could sing up do, re, mi, fa, so, and then see if it matches. Do, re, mi, fa, so. And it did match there. But also look, do, mi, so. It is arpeggiating up the chord. It doesn't make sense to skip to an F because it's not going to be part of that chord. And then it's similar. It steps down. Da, da, da. And look, we arrived on another chord note right there. Right? Just like that. Okay? Now, the rest is hard because it's fast. And maybe we want to try and guess what this note is right there, or maybe we want to just see how we approach into that do there. I'm going to listen and say, well, how does this happen right here? Okay? We'll do it one more time. Go back to the beginning. Yeah. Ya da da da. Seems like steps. Ya da da. Okay. If you're never sure, you can always, you know, get that note, sing da da dum, and then do it again, ya da dum, and stuff. The real question is this note right here. Is it an F or is it a G, right? And, you know, odds are it's a G because we've been skipping up and down around the triad. You could sing it and see if it sounds right. Like with the F would be fa. Do, mi, re, do, so, fa, mi, re, do. You could also see if it was so by going da 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 dum. And if you hold this note out while the recording's going on, you'll find that they match up like that. Okay? I just want to point something else out. MD1-2. It's got clef, time signature, bar lines. All the notes are in place, clearly on lines and spaces, and they have the stems. Everything's complete. So that's what you need to do for full points. Remember that these are emphasizing C, D, E, F, G, and they are also emphasizing patterns that have the C, E, G chord. It doesn't make sense to leap into a non-chord tone. Notice how we did this in steps. Notice how we never used an instrument for reference. Maybe afterwards, if it's really bugging you, go ahead. But right now, do this all by remembering where do is, right? And then referencing against that.